in a shocking announcement that will affect millions of people across the UK. The NHS has revealed sweeping changes to its prescription system. A total of 36 common conditions are being removed from the list of ailments eligible for free prescriptions, marking one of the most significant shakeups in recent years. If you or someone you care about depends on these prescriptions, this news is something you cannot ignore, so stick with us as we break down what's happening and how it might impact you. Before we dive into the specifics, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on important updates like this. Your support helps us continue to bring you essential information. Now, let's get right into the details of these major changes. The NHS has been under increasing pressure to make cuts and optimize its resources, and this new decision to strip free medication from 36 conditions is part of a wider strategy to reduce costs. These aren't obscure rare conditions we're talking about. These are common health issues that millions of people experience daily, such as mild acne or seasonal hay fever. The NHS has made it clear that this isn't just a minor tweak to the system. It's a full-scale overhaul that could leave thousands of people scrambling for alternatives. But before you panic, it's important to know that these cuts won't happen all at once. The NHS plans to implement these changes gradually, giving people time to adjust and explore other ways to manage their health. Still, when these cuts are fully in place, they could have a significant financial impact on those affected, so it's important to stay informed. Let's break down some of the most common conditions that will lose their free prescription coverage. First up is mild acne, a condition that affects both teenagers and adults alike. The NHS believes that over-the-counter treatments are sufficient for most cases, so they're removing it from the list. If you suffer from hay fever, you're probably already familiar with how miserable it can be, while the NHS is still offering support for severe cases that don't respond to typical medications. They've decided that antihistamines and nasal sprays, which are widely available and affordable, no longer need to be covered. It's important to note, though, that if your hay fever is severe, you may still qualify for a prescription, but many people might not realize this and could end up paying out of pocket. Another major change involves pain management. For those of you who rely on medications like paracetamol or ibuprofen for headaches, minor injuries, or chronic pain, these will no longer be available via prescription. The NHS is encouraging people to buy these common pain relievers over the counter instead. While this might sound like a reasonable approach for people who need regular pain relief, the costs can add up quickly. Now, let's talk about how this affects certain groups. These changes won't hit everyone equally. If you belong to specific protected groups like people over the age of 60, children under 16, full-time students age 16, 18, pregnant women, or those who've recently given birth, you may still be eligible for free prescriptions. There are also certain medical conditions that will still qualify for free treatment, but the tricky part is knowing exactly where you stand. This makes it essential to stay on top of your health and speak to your GP about any concerns. One of the biggest financial concerns for many people is the cost of prescriptions at the moment. The average prescription charge in England is £9.35 per item. It might not seem like a lot, but for those managing multiple health conditions or who need regular medications, these costs can quickly pile up. Fortunately, there are ways to save on these expenses, and we'll cover some money-saving tips shortly. So, why is the NHS making these cuts in the first place? According to the NHS, the goal is to redirect resources towards more serious conditions and emergency care. They claim these changes could save hundreds of millions of pounds each year, money that could be reinvested into improving critical services, funding new treatments, and reducing waiting times on paper. It sounds like a smart financial decision, but for those affected by these cuts, it's a different story. Now let's talk about some strategies to help you cope with these changes. One of the best options available to manage prescription costs is the prescription prepayment certificate (PPC). Think of this as a season ticket for your prescriptions. For £30 25p, you can get a 3-month PPC, or for £18 10p, you can opt for an annual one if you take multiple prescriptions each month. This could save you a lot of money in the long run, and it's something worth considering if you're affected by these cuts. Another crucial step is to act fast, as these cuts are rolling out in phases. Now is the perfect time to talk to your doctor about your options. If you're currently on a prescription for any of the 36 affected conditions, book an appointment with your GP to discuss alternative treatments. In some cases, lifestyle changes or over-the-counter remedies might be just as effective, but in others, you may need to explore new treatment options. The key here is to be proactive rather than waiting until it's too late. You might be surprised to learn that some lesser-known conditions are also losing their free prescription status. Conditions like mild dermatitis, indigestion, mouth ulcers, and even travel sickness are on the chopping block. The NHS claims that these issues can be effectively managed with over-the-counter treatments and lifestyle changes. However, these conditions can vary greatly in severity, and for some people, over-the-counter solutions might not be sufficient. It's important to know your options and explore alternatives before these cuts fully take effect. I know many of you are concerned about how these changes will impact those on fixed incomes or those managing multiple health issues. This is a valid concern, and while the NHS has promised to monitor the effects of these changes, there are no guarantees that everyone will be protected. If you find yourself struggling financially, it's worth looking into the NHS low-income scheme, which can help cover prescription costs if you meet the eligibility criteria. It's always a good idea to check if you qualify, because every little bit helps. There's also some good news on the horizon. Some pharmacies are already expanding their selection of over-the-counter medications and introducing new consultation services. This could make it easier for you to access healthcare advice and treatments for minor conditions without needing to visit a GP. It's something to keep an eye on as these changes are rolled out. So, what should you do to prepare for these changes? Start by making a list of your current prescriptions and checking if any of them are on the list of cuts. Talk to your GP about alternative treatments. Consider whether a prescription prepayment certificate would save you money, and start researching over-the-counter alternatives that might work for your condition. The most important thing is to be proactive and start making adjustments now before it's too late. That's all for today's update. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a like and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so you're always in the loop with the latest updates. Drop a comment below and let us know how you feel about these changes. Are you worried about how they'll affect you or your loved ones? Let's keep the conversation going. For the latest updates on this and other